for that.
Thank you very much. Hey, I want to tell you something about me that maybe you don't know. From the time I was this tall, I've always dreamt about robbing a bank. There'd be no guns involved. And the money would always be found out on the street next to the bank. We always put the money there. Now, why do I have dreams like that all the time? Why? Tell me why.
Challenging your intellect, and how can we do it?
Got it. Got it. I'm challenging my passion, so I'm challenging my heart, and I'm challenging my brain to figure out how I can overwhelm those stops. So I'm living in the physical world. All right? Now, I have to take charge of that because it's very dangerous, living in the physical world, right? So that's one of the reasons why I developed these techniques, to come out of this and get down to this, the spirit area, because we do have a bank. Now, we're not going to rob the bank, because the only way this bank is going to work is if we give back as much as we're getting in every way possible. Yeah, I've had to learn a lot of different things in getting to this point, a lot of different things. So the things that we're talking about, from getting back to spirit, and the way we're going to use spirit to help us, we're going to improve our health, our money, and our relationships with ourselves, with others, and with the divine. Okay? So what is this that we're going to use for the bank? It's the present going into the future. It's looking into the future and getting our ideas and knowing them with certainty that this is exactly what I need to do. Now, thinking about this and trying to stay here, this is equivalent to man discovering fire, what I'm proposing, that we're going to do. Do you understand that? It's like we're discovering fire. Because if we can get out of the competition, and this is competition, like we said before, and get back into something that wants to help us, and not only help us, but to help everyone involved in this project, then we've done things that no one in the world's ever done. Now, the reason why I'm proposing this, and I said it the last set of 4 classes, I'm going to say it again, I'm going to say it right up front. We must get to this point where we're working from here. Because if we turn on the TV, everyone's working from here. And we know where this is going. We're running out of time. We're literally running out of time in this country. Okay? We may have a year and a half, no more than 2 years, before we have total financial collapse, the way things are going right now. We don't even have to worry about Ebola because of the other things on top of Ebola. Our borders aren't secured, a number of problems that we're going to have. So unless we get into this concept of there's plenty for everyone, and we stop thinking about robbing the bank from here, and we start thinking about how we're going to give back ourselves and others, we don't have much hope here in this country. We will be destroyed. And we will be taken over by another country. Most likely China. So having our abilities is a blessing and a curse because we can see what's coming. Now, since we can see what's coming, we have a chance. And I asked God, is it impossible to change the direction? The answer is no. No, we have time. We have maybe another 2 or 3 years before it's irretrievable. Maybe another 2 or 3 years. We have time. We have time if we can work together, learn how to use this energy, and begin sending this energy out and creating more people that are involved in this. We have a chance for turning this around in this country. We do have a chance. So my question right now is, how can we as a group use this ability that we have to send this information out so we can turn this country around? How can we do it as a group? Next week, we're going to cover the techniques and methods I'm using to scan into the market and other areas. We'll cover that. But this week, for the last half hour, I want to cover some ideas because this is most important, to give us time and really to help this world. Any ideas? What do we do?
Well, isn't it much more effective when we do it as a collaboration, as a group? Isn't it tenfold or more? So taking the time while we're here as a group
yes, it
is important.
Yeah. So do Possibly, and that's an excellent idea, possibly we get together, so maybe 10 minutes before class, maybe, say, 20 after, 7, and maybe stay about 10 minutes after, say, 9:10, from 9 to 9:10, and we just send this energy out. Is that possible? Start tonight? Okay, good. All right, anything else we can do? That's it, anything else?
Well, my approach to this is sending love. And and also I think forgiveness is a big part of this.
Acceptance, right,
And-
forgiveness,
and
right?
gratitude.
Right,
And I had an interesting experience of forgiveness over this time where we were gone,
mhm,
of something that I knew, I thought intellectually, but I didn't think it was having any effect.
right,
And I went through the process of forgiving and asking God forgiveness and the person's forgiveness without them knowing it. And I had a reaction in my body right here of forgiveness.
yeah,
And it was very then interesting to observe the behavior
mhm,
of the other person, as well as mine. And then I ran into a man in an elevator, and it was like he was real frustrated, and it was like, I don't know what, I felt a lot of compassion for him.
right,
He was talking about children or something, and I said something, and he turned around and looked at me, and just nearly before he even thought, he said, "I love you." And it was just, wow. I was just shocked.
right. That you
And I
were
mean, it
being-
was very passing,
mhm,
and it was just a really intense feeling. And then later that night, I just processed a lot of it, and I felt the love.
mhm. Yeah, it's very good. You're getting better at this, because as you're talking to me, the energy's going through your body. Do you realize that?
Yeah, I could
You're
feel
not,
it.
you're not stopping it anymore. Good
Yeah.
job, good work.
Yeah, I feel very different.
That's right. Yeah, very good.
But what I did too was make a conscious effort that I moved my clock up an hour
Mhm,
in the morning so that I could spend time with God
right,
and really focus on seeking that part.
good, very good, it's working. Good job, very good. Anyone else? Yes?
Berman, you're saying if we have a larger group amongst ourselves, it's more powerful. If we were to get a larger group, I'm sure we actually can get a larger and larger group, or groups of larger people, what are you going to ask them to do?
It's a personal thing, because they have to decide what do they want for this country that's in terms of their spirit. They're going to have to decide that. But anything that will help their spirit move the energy through their body. Okay. For the benefit of the people that haven't been here before, let's go back over this for a moment here, because that's an excellent question. Thank you very much. Remember what we're always doing. No matter what we're doing, we're putting a protective sphere around our bodies. Now, some people put the sphere around the entire United States. Some people put it around the world. It's a little too big. I would put it no more than a few feet away from your actual body. Okay, keep it simple. All right? Then we're imagining that we're going to allow the energies of God, Jesus Christ, Holy Spirit, angels, or anyone else that you worship, I don't care, and send that energy through your body, from the skull, through the body, through the earth, all the way through, back again, right through heaven, and in a cyclical manner that we're allowing that energy to go through. That's why I'm holding this area right now to remind you, consciously and subconsciously, that even though I'm talking to you, my energy is flowing through. That's how I knew that her energy was flowing through. And we were compatible. Good work. Yes?
This might seem like a silly question, but when the energy goes down and cycles around,
Mhm.
does it cycle in front of us going this way or behind us going that way?
Always. Always. It's like covering us in an area about so wide as it's going through. But I can feel it channeled through me in an area about so wide as it's going through me. Okay, but for most of us, it's at least that wide.
But when it comes out through the earth and then goes up through heaven? Is it in front of us? Or
It's in your imagination. It's in your imagination. Whatever your imagination tells you is what it's doing.
okay.
That's the beautiful thing, because our imagination controls this. That's the beautiful thing about this. So maybe, go ahead.
Could I expand on the same thing?
Please, go ahead. Go ahead.
When you say it's a personal decision for them what to do, you want them to focus on something, but it's a personal decision. Would we ask these people to focus on a better world and a result they want, focus on more banana cream pie? What are they going to focus on?
Or both.
Maybe.
Remember what we're saying? We're saying that this energy that goes through is a perfect energy. It's rebuilding every part of our body, both physically and energetically. So if I want to ask a question of it, and I'm looking at the movement of that energy, if I'm imagining that I can see myself, remember what we said, standing in a circle within that sphere. So I'm looking at myself, and I ask myself a question, like what type of world do I want? Well, do I want a world of better, say, race relations, for example? Okay, if that energy is flowing stronger through my body, and I'll see it, then that tells me that's a yes. That's one of the things I want for the rest of this U.S. or the world or whatever I want. If I ask another question, do I want B, whatever B is? If the energy is flowing through well, then that's a yes. I should be getting it. Do you understand what I mean? Am I
But you
answering
actually
your
see
question?
B, right?
I actually know what I'm asking. I make a
Right.
statement.
And
I make
you
a
see
specific
it.
statement, yes. And then I see the energy that's flowing through my
You
body.
see the
in my
energy, not
imagination.
the answer.
That's right. I'm looking at the energy flowing through my body in my imagination, because it actually is doing that physically, right? So any question I ask, whether I should invest now in the stock market, whether I should travel to Des Moines, whether I should go any place, do anything, I don't care what the answer is, a question, I should be able to see the energy flow through my body, and if it's increasing, then that's a yes. I should do whatever it's telling me to do. Okay? Now, if the energy is about the same before and after asking that question, that's a maybe. So maybe is always a no. And of course, if it diminishes, that's definitely a no. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So we can have a list of whatever we want for this country, for the world, whatever. And as long as we test it and we're getting strong responses, then that's what we need to send through into this imaginary figure so we can allow people in this country to pick it up, for example. Just like you saw how powerful that was, Cecile. Yeah. All right?
Yeah, I was kind of shocked.
Yeah. This has no boundaries. This energy has no boundaries in time or space. It has no limitations. You can send it out to other parts of the universe. But everyone who's vibrating with your form of energy, like who believes in your concepts, will be picking it up, and it will encourage them to do just like what you're proposing. And it will encourage them to do it naturally, without having to force anyone or creating more problems. You see what I'm saying? Am I making any sense?
And you don't have to be physically with them. I mean, we're doing this spirit to spirit with
Spirit to spirit.
everyone, so.
Right. Spirit to spirit.
You don't have to train people and tell people how, I mean, it's like, we were saying, let's get more people, but it's gonna be a process to do that.
It is. We need about 1 million people to stop this, to prevent the collapse that's coming, financial collapse, which will be 75% as bad as it was in 1929. We need about 1 million people to reduce that to a fraction of what it was in 2008. We need about 1 million people. Okay.
Can we get them spirit to spirit, and then they don't have a clue in the physical world we're doing this communication?
Possibly. Possibly.
I think that's a
I
better
so.
option.
Yeah, it's possible, but I'm hoping that we can get enough people aware of this, both consciously and subconsciously, that they'll take command of this process and start training others in this condition too. Okay?
What if we create a Facebook page with this information, put some of these videos up, and then have the list of what the meditation is, of what to ask for? Maybe we can make the list ourselves, we can test it. Because it's great having this information, but if you don't take action on it,
Right.
it's no good.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
With a YouTube.
Yeah, put a
Videos.
YouTube on it, and then send it out, Facebook it, you know, whatever. Use social media, because you can get to millions of people. Or it can't be the only people doing this.
Right. Right.
How about some personal stories to go with it?
That would be
That say, you know, when I started doing this, this happened. You know, I mean, like what you just said.
It inspires people.
you know, YouTube about the principles and the specific list of, these are the things, you know, our intent, and these are the things to focus on, you know, so that they grow. But the testimonials that, where people can take baby steps, because, you know, I still feel like I'm stuck, and I'm going, oh, she's already there with the, you know, with all the stuff, and I feel like, well, you know, I'm feeling, you know, it's getting better, I can tell, and
It's working.
have it, yeah, but it's still the, you know, forgiveness and acceptance, still that process
Right.
daily, and then, you know.
Right. Is it clear to everyone, because I want to make sure of this, and thank you for bringing this up indirectly. Is it clear to everyone what we're talking about when we're doing this process? Like, they're sure about they're doing it correctly? Thank you. Okay. Okay, as a class.
Well, maybe we feel like it's the correct way, but do we
Wait a
really
minute,
know?
how do you do it? How do you do it? Okay, could you explain to John how you do it?
Oh,
Okay.
gee.
You can do it.
Well, for some reason, I am moving while the energy is going. I don't move. I do other things because I record it. So
Do you put a protective
yeah, the
sphere?
protection first. Yes.
Okay, so you're in a protective sphere.
Yes.
Now, why do we do that? Why do we put you in a protective sphere? Why?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yes, you do. Come on, you remember.
So well, it's part of it. We have to protect ourselves first,
Right.
so we don't get the energies that we don't want in there.
Right, we don't want to pick up people or
Yes.
dark forces or even demons that are going to create problems in doing this work. So we imagine in our mind that we have a sphere around us, and within that sphere, 3 times, we
The time
command,
we command the dark forces and the demons to leave.
right, and you command that 3 times. Okay?
And then,
Well, we'll get to that later. Yeah, we'll attack that later. Yeah. But, so we do that 3 times in that sphere. What else do we do next? Good, keep going. Keep going.
then after that, I say that I just talk to God and say, I give you permission to send me the energy.
Okay. So you allow, like we said, God, Jesus
God,
Christ, Holy Spirit,
yes,
angels,
Holy Spirit, celestial beings.
whatever angelic beings want to help us, right? Right?
Yes.
Right? So we send that energy,
From the top, coming from the top of my head,
right,
going all the way down.
all the way through,
I'm standing on earth,
right?
so it goes down all the way down
Right?
to the bottom of the earth, and then coming up,
Right?
and then that's when my body actually starts moving.
Good?
And then
Good.
I know my body starts
So you're
moving like
swaying?
this, yes.
Okay. Good?
And then I know that is happening.
Okay. Good, that's very good. Do you know what the swaying indicates?
I don't know, but I know that
That's
I
very
move.
good. That's very good. It means the energy is building up. And it means that the cranial sacral system is getting overloaded. So we have to rock back and forth to try to open up that system because the energy is building up. Now some people, if that energy builds up, they can have traumatic symptoms like anxiety attacks, the heart can start fluttering, they can have headaches, they can have any number of things when energy builds up if it's not moving. Okay, so you're trying to get that energy moving by rocking back and forth. That's good.
It just felt natural. So, and also I asked the spirit to let me know when I need to stop.
Good. And then you get that, you get that impression then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know how long that generally takes? Roughly speaking?
About 10 minutes.
About 10 minutes.
10, 15 minutes.
Good. That's about right. About 10, 15 minutes. So we only have to do this like a couple of times a day if you're going to be really effective for 10 or 15 minutes, but I'm hoping that we will all, as we're driving, as we're doing things during the day, we're letting this energy go through constantly. Even if we're talking to other people, we're letting it go through constantly so that it starts rebuilding our body systems very fast. Yes.
Is it appropriate at times to put someone else in there with us that we're wanting to show love or want them to kind of be more on our level?
Okay.
Or protect.
So let's go back to this now. So we have ourselves in this protective sphere, and then we're seeing ourselves standing, like our energetic profile, we're seeing that away from us standing in a circle, right? Like what we talked about. correct? So we're looking at the energy flowing through our bodies, and yes, it is appropriate to bring people next to you in that circle, provided your energy, the energy that's flowing through you, is very strong. If it's very weak and you bring someone in too soon, you're going to take that energy away from you. It won't be productive.
Okay, I usually do it after I've done my own thing,
Good.
and then I bring some other people in,
Good.
after I've cleared and all that.
Good,
Okay.
that's perfect.
To
That will
help
work well,
them.
to help them. We can't force anyone if we put them into the circle. All we can do is encourage them to watch what we're doing to ourselves, give them permission to change, and let them sit there or stand there in that field. Okay?
But, okay, I do this in the morning, and then at nighttime is like a short time.
Yes.
When you and I talk about bringing the people like at school, going into meetings,
Right.
so how do I know, I mean, maybe I'm not checking that. How do I know that it's, yeah, I'm talking to myself at the same
That's
time.
right.
How do I know that it's okay to bring that people? How do I know that it's safe? Because I think
Okay.
it is safe.
Good question.
Yeah.
Good question. You can give yourself permission to bring anyone into that circle who is safe. It's time for them to come in, or you're allowing them to come in. Any way you want to say it, but you're giving them permission to show up. Now, if they show up, they should be safe. Okay, if they show up. Okay? Making sense? Yeah. So we never have to worry about being overwhelmed or making the wrong choice if we give it permission to work according to our strength, our vitality, or our energy. Okay? It will help me do more of this work if we do it that way. Yeah, am I being clear? Okay.
And then let's remember that we still have to, when we bring the people, we still need to clear and ask the demons and the
That's right.
dark forces to leave.
That's right. That's
Because
right.
we bring in someone in.
Well, you can, and it's always a good idea. My assumption from what I've been doing, the moment anyone comes into my circle, that's already been done. Okay? But again, that's an agreement that I already have with myself. Okay?
But I do it this way,
Whatever way is better for you.
I've been told that I.
It's okay. It's all right. Do it whatever way is better for you.
All right.
Okay, it'll work. Okay, am I clear?
I thought we were doing where we see ourselves and we see the light, and our body had to have full light before we let anybody into the circle?
That's what I was saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, that's the safest.
That's the safest.
That's the
okay.
absolute safest way.
Okay.
Okay, at that point, it should be good. Okay. Now again, by getting this down and practicing this, no matter what question you're asking, I don't care what the subject is, you'll be able to start answering that question and getting accuracy. You must create at this point then a system that works for you. Now, next week, I'll start introducing you to the systems I've created, okay? And we'll just see if they work for you. But it doesn't matter what you do. What matters is, number one, that you always put that protective sphere around you, because there will be times when I've forgotten, and I'll come up with an answer. I put the sphere around me, I get the opposite answer. And the opposite answer with the sphere around me has always been correct. Okay? So you never know. You never know when you will need that sphere, because there have been times when I haven't, I've gotten the right answers. So please, always put the sphere around you for protection. Yes, number one. Number two is, create a system for yourself that works. I don't care how you create this, as long as it works for you. Okay? Because your system may be different than mine. Am I being clear on that? Okay? Number three, I would encourage you to begin attempting to see your energetic profile as quickly as you can, so you see yourself standing in that circle within this sphere, so you can see the energy going through your body, so that you can tell, if you're asking questions, how is the energy moving through? And if I ask a question, is the energy increasing? Is it improving? Because I want to get you quickly to the point of knowing the answers and being very confident with those answers. Okay. Again, understanding what I'm saying. Make sense? It's very important that you get into that imagery as quickly as you can. Okay? Now I'm curious, for the last 4 classes, there was some concern about that with some people. How is that looking now for the bulk of you, for all of you? Can you begin seeing your energetic profile now? Now, can you sense that profile? Good. All right, if you can sense it, that's good. You can sense it.
Not
Maxine?
consistently at all.
Okay.
I'll get flashes of things like I told you, that black pinhole, like I could tell it was my heart.
Right.
I could sense that, but it was I'm not getting the three
That's
areas,
okay.
I'm not,
That's all right.
it's nothing consistent.
Well, the fact that that's beginning to appear, that's excellent. You'll do it in your own way.
Yeah.
Okay, but the fact it's beginning to appear, which is better than it was
Yeah,
before.
I guess.
Okay, and that's what I'm going for. Are we beginning to see more information, maybe is a better way of saying this, now than we did when we started the class, like weeks ago? Beginning to see that more information, like sensing more? Yeah. If you're new to the class, we just have to keep practicing, go back over the videos that we've had from the previous classes and catch up, okay? If you have questions about that, then let us know. All right, so good. So, go ahead.
I'm confused about the 10 minutes in the morning and 10, but then you're saying, but all day long, do it. So, frankly, and this is going to sound silly, it probably is, but I get paranoid about that protective circle. And it's like, I can command and I can feel okay about this, the bubble.
Right.
And then, and I'll be working on energy and I'm asking for information and intuition, usually when I'm, writing or doing something creative and just, and asking for all this stuff and I go, oh, I forgot about the bubble and it's probably burst by now. So then I have to go back and do that 15 times a day. So, it seems I put myself in a bit of a bind here. Any answers about that bubble and how long, how
Right?
long is the bubble?
Expiration
Yeah.
time.
The expiration date.
Yeah.
Very good. It's like milk, right? It's just like milk. But seriously,
that out.
again, this is according to your imagination, how long you want it to last. For example, if I give it permission to last as long as my subconscious wants to work on it, then I command my subconscious for however long that is.
Okay.
I can tell it. I can tell all through the day, or 5 hours a day, or 15 minutes.
Okay.
Right, but you can command it. Now,
You can command how long as well.
Right, so
I mean,
that
that makes sense.
that's going. Right? However, there's another point to this. The other point is I want to get your subconscious mind, okay, commanding your spirit, and also your conscious mind. I want to get both of those working constantly on one thing and one thing only. And the one thing only is my conscious and my subconscious mind are constantly working on keeping that protection around me. Now, I realize that's a tall chore consciously to do that. Okay, I can't do
Yeah,
it.
but-
Okay, I can't do it. I've been at this now for a couple of months, every moment. I can't do it every moment. But I'm certainly getting a lot better now than I was 2 months ago, consciously, of keeping that protective sphere around me.
Kind of like meditating.
Right,
Yeah.
that's right. Right,
But
constantly.
all day long.
As often as you can.
Well, but that adds a bit of anxiety for the, vigilance and hypervigilance and whatever. I do not want to live my life hypervigilant.
Okay, you don't need to. You don't need to.
Okay, keep talking.
Okay, everyone has to make a choice.
Or something?
Please.
I mean, because I think there's a lot more freedom in all this than what we're doing here, because, like, for example, the protective sphere, okay, he had me doing that for a while, okay, and I was like, it just wasn't quite clicking with me, and then one day I'm really just praying about it, going, okay, this protective sphere thing, what the, and he'd been talking to me about the small little girl Shannon, there's big me and there's little me, and all of a sudden I kind of bring her in the picture, I see her in the picture, and all of a sudden I see her get a piece of chalk. And she starts drawing this circle on the ground with a piece of chalk. When she finishes the circle, I literally start wailing, just crying.
Yes.
And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, there's my protective circle. Okay, it wasn't some sphere, it didn't have all these little bells, it was a little girl, me, drawing a circle on the floor with chalk. And now, I'm fine. All of a sudden, I just, when I feel kind of insecure, I'm like, okay, draw the chalk. And I said something to my mother about it. My mother goes, well, a circle drawn with chalk sure doesn't seem very protective to me. Shouldn't you be praying some angels? And so I'm like, no, because it's my imagination. It's what works for me. It's what works with that little inner child. And I know she has a lot of power. So for me, it was her drawing a magical circle of chalk.
Yeah.
So I think
It's
there's
empowering.
a lot more freedom than I think, then we have to get it, so.
Right, and if it
And
works
it's
for
for
you, that's
every
great.
person, it's like
Right.
each person's got something different at work.
Right,
Yeah, thanks.
right.
I just had an epiphany. Ever since the kids were small, and I had them in my car, I always would like blow this imaginary blue, I don't know, air or whatever around the car as a protection. And every time they're in the car, I would think about that. I'd blow it blue just as protection, and I just feel all of a sudden, okay, now we're safe. We got a protective cover. And I've been doing that for years and years and years. Just when they're in the car, I always do it. I still do it. That could be my protection right there. Just do it for myself.
Exactly,
Simple.
that's our,
It's the child.
And you can test those ideas, because if you're going to make a prediction, and that's why we're using the stock market. Remember, the reason why we're using the stock market in this is to make predictions and see them come clear quickly, right? So we have certainty. That's why we're doing it. So if you're doing it that way and you're getting correct answers, you know it's working. It'll work very well. So whatever works to give you consistent answers is the right way for you. It's the right way for you. Now, for me, having these fantasies about robbing a bank, you know why I'm doing this constantly for myself, okay?
But I just wanted to ask if I'm doing the 10 or 15 minutes in the morning and in the evening, and then I come up with some sort of a shortcut or whatever you want to call it, and do that during just the day, so I'm not spending 15 minutes but you're saying that eventually that'll probably all meld together and it'll feel like I'm doing it all the time.
Yes, exactly. It just takes practice. And whatever amount works for you is the right amount. Okay? Because you can always tell if it's the right amount because you're going to be looking at the energy moving through that energetic body, and you can ask it. Do I need to increase it, decrease it, do what you're doing, do what I'm doing, do variations on it? Whatever it tells you to do is the correct answer for you. I'm giving you ideas right now because you've asked for them, and you have to modify them to work for you. Okay? Making sense? Okay. Keep going. Any other questions?
When we started doing all this with the stocks and everything, and yes, we're looking at the energetic self in the circle, I've been putting everybody in the circle because that's what I thought we were supposed to do. And then I add all the other people that I want to help or that I give permission to be observers and that kind of thing. So, I mean, I got a full house. I thought, well, not just my committee, I'm putting a whole class in there. I'm putting all
I'm doing the same thing.
I am not seeing really that energy flowing through.
Are you sensing?
I don't know that I'm sensing it. I am directing it. I
Okay.
see that chart, okay, energy, you are
Okay,
flowing
good.
through, and I'm, I see that, but I'm not seeing it in the little energetic me, and I'm trying to sense if it's, the black thing, or the white thing, or the gray thing.
Sure, let me ask
and
you a
getting
question.
the light.
Is it better now than it was at the beginning of these classes, at the start of the classes? Are you making more progress now?
I can't tell. I'm sure not doing it on my picks, on my stock things.
Okay.
I'm
That'll
not
come with
seeing it
time.
in the results.
Okay, that will come with time. But in terms of sensing, has the sensing improved at all?
Get all those people, I'm serious because I always thought the same thing, and I've been putting all those people, this class, anybody
Good.
who potentially could help spread the word, anybody who, in that circle.
Right.
So I don't know, maybe I should be doing it by myself for a while to see if I can get better results.
Well, for you, Alexia, that would be a better idea. That would be a better idea for you. Okay?
And it
But
was
for
for
you,
me
Sharon,
too.
it's just a gradual building process. Just building.
So just leave everybody in the circle.
You're on your own.
You can. Right now, it's more of a question of allowing yourself, for you, it's allowing yourself the freedom to do this, the liberty to do this. It just takes, just keep practicing, until you can sense something. Okay, just keep at it. I said this was not going to be easy. Okay.
You've come a long way, though.
Yes, you have.
I remember
You
how
really
far-
have.
Yeah.
For all of us to hear what you're saying, we know you've come a long way.
And since we're talking about our answers, there's also something I want to bring to your attention finally, just take a couple of minutes. It's about calibration, calibrating yourself. Now, how do you calibrate yourself to make sure that if I'm doing this work and I'm going to make a prediction, that I have confidence that my prediction is going to come true? How do I know that I'm of the correct energy and vitality to do this? How do I know?
Well, it hasn't been working well, but I thought you used to tell us we play with the name thing. It's like I use my name, and then I change. And if I'm getting the right messages then, assume I've calibrated, then I go off and do it.
Okay. Roger, can I go to you for just a moment here? Would you mind standing? Would you tell them what you did, because it was a great idea when you were testing yourself?
Well, the method that I came up with is I would write the statement that Gary had, is it going to go up, is it going to go down, whatever the variables were that I wanted. And then I would go, and let's say I had 4 options, I would go number 1, 2, 3, 4 on a sheet of paper, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I made some cards, 1 inch by 2 inches, and I wrote the option down on those cards. And then I took the cards and I put them on the table, one in front of the other, so I have a row of 4 cards, and I have 4 options. And I would, in the statement, ask me to show which number, is the correct number, and then I would go and flip over that card. So it was a complete blind setup, and I calibrated it with my name, because there were some times when I kept getting the wrong name, the wrong name, the wrong name, the wrong name, okay? And then I also would put in a card in there that said, rephrase the question. Because sometimes, you wouldn't get that same. But that's what I did with the cards. So I've been practicing with that over and over again. I have a whole series of cards I've made on all kinds of different options. And that is my crutch, and I'm getting more accurate with it each time. But to me, that's a perfect blind way of doing it.
Right.
So that was a method I've been using.
So you feel the energy and then you ask the questions? Is that what
No,
you're saying?
Gary has to write a statement like, is the stock,
Right, I
tell me the
understand
price
that
of stock
part.
is go up or go down. Okay,
Right.
that's a yes or a no.
I understand.
Or, so what I do is I have a number 1.
Right,
and
I
a number
understand
2
what you're
and a
doing, but
blank
is
card.
it, are you doing 2 parts? This part plus testing yourself?
Yes.
Separately, 2 separate parts?
Yes.
Okay.
Because if you don't do that part, which when I was getting the wrong answers all the time, it's because that part hadn't been done properly or it wasn't right. And I got one night, I went 10 times to get my name, and all 10 times it was wrong. And I just had 2 cards. Now, what are the odds? That defies all odds.
Naturally,
Thank
And so finally I
you
said,
have the consistent result, which is what you want.
but what it showed the power, okay? The power was just off. But that really impressed me on how powerful this was. So I just said, "I'll hell with it." And I went and got a drink and watched TV, did something else, blah, 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 took a shower, or whatever the hell it was. And I came back and I went there to, came right in. But I just had to quit and get away from it. But it was very encouraging to know that I had that much power. Because again, what are the odds of it being wrong 10 times in a row? With
But it
2
wasn't
options?
wrong if it was 10 times. I mean, I wish I could be wrong 10 times in a row, because then I'd know. Every time I'm wrong, I'm right, because I just do the opposite. Seriously, what is consistent results?
That's, got to be careful with that idea though, Jeff.
Yeah.
Got to be very careful. Because I've been through that, I've tested that too. You can subconsciously, you can create a lot of problems that way. It doesn't always work that way. Be careful. It's either right or not right.
Okay.
One thing I will say is that when I finally started to get it right, when I did the name, I felt a surge of energy.
Right.
And it was a high frequency energy. I just felt, I know it's going to be right this time. And then it was right every time when I felt that surge of energy.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so that's what you mean, but when you say calibrating? All right.
Calibrating is basically, I'm energetic, I already know the answers, but I'm going to go through it anyway. I go through the process, and there's my answer. I'm so strong, so certain, and that's the correct answer. When Roger was doing it, he was getting the wrong answer, he was reversed. He was reversed energetically. Maybe weak adrenals. Maybe there was something that was causing a problem. Maybe you didn't eat the right food, get enough sleep, any number of issues, but you were reversed with the energy.
The other issue was that the question wasn't right.
Okay? The question too.
What are you saying when you say, I
your
got
name.
my name?
What do you
What do you
put
mean?
your
We
hand
understand.
over?
Well, I had 2 cards. One had my name on it, and one had Mickey Mouse on it. And I kept getting Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse, you know.
He gets all set
There
up
was
to
number
do
1
the
and
big
number 2.
stuff. I do the pre-test to make sure
And they would tell me it was either 1 or 2, and I'd go flip open that card and then read the name.
All right, so the calibration is a pretest to
Yes.
go into the test.
But so I could feel it in energy when it was right, because when that energy was right, I would always go to the right card.
That's exactly right.
Do you put your hand over them and just sense them, or do you just
No,
look at them?
I did not.
You don't do touch?
All I did was I made the list, 1, 2, 3, 4, however many options there were. I
You
laid the
make
cards out,
But you don't put your hands over
and
the
then I
cards
just
to
got
feel them?
quiet.
Oh, okay.
Now, remember, it could work in any way, putting the hands over, going quiet, it just depends on you how it works for
But
you.
when it was going wrong, I even tried the hands, nothing worked when it was going wrong. Nothing worked.
That's correct, and that's the way it'll be, that's the way it'll be. Now, what I do, thank you, Roger, it's very important. What I do is I go back to an old scan, like an old prediction about a stock, I get neutral with it, and even, I don't care how far back it is. I put myself into the same profile, just like what we're doing, what we're talking about, even if it's 5 years ago. I'll put myself, going back 5 years ago, I'll put myself into the same conditions, I'll look exactly at that stock, and I'll be neutral, and I'll make the prediction. Now, if I get it right, I know I'm in the right direction. I know that I can do anything at that point, whatever I need to, as long as I stay in connection with Spirit at that point. Now, if I don't get the right answer, then I'm going to do somewhat like you may do. I may go out, do some other things, give myself a break, maybe get more sleep, maybe more exercise, check my statement, any number of things. But I'm not going to push myself. If I get the wrong answer, I stop. I'm not going to push, and I'll wait until I am in the right energetic profile to now get my correct answer. You do not push this. If it's wrong, you stop and go off and do something like Roger did or you want to do. Come back when you feel better. Believe me, you'll have time to do it. You'll have time to do it. Am I making my point? So calibrating yourself is very important. I want you to start thinking about that now because you must have some way of gauging. Am I being clear about what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying,
Right.
and I think that is probably at the base of my incorrect results. But
Right.
I always do the calibration. I'm always asking myself, okay, show me yes, and I'm swaying forward, show me no, and going back.
Okay.
I'll test it. My name is Sharon, I'm getting a yes. My name is Dumbo, I'm getting a no.
Okay.
And then I ask the question, and I get the wrong answer.
I think if you, according to what your spirit is saying, Sharon, if you would incorporate, show me a yes according to my belief system at this time about being able to select correctly my stock, okay, you might want to see what direction that implies as far as the yes. That could be the opposite direction. See, just showing me a yes or a no may be too vague because we're really going into checking on stocks and your belief systems about the stocks. Okay? So we really want to narrow this down. When you make your statement, remember that statement has got to be very accurate.
In the steps, and you might ask Sharon, or I think it was on the third or fourth step, you're supposed to ask your spirit, is now a good time to do this or not? Have you been doing that? There's like a couple steps you did, but at one point, before you actually go to the prediction, you ask your spirit, is now the time to do this? Do you ask that question?
Okay.
Oh, that's the time I have. I mean,
No, it's not going to work that way. You must start working with spirit. Let spirit guide you. This is not, because this is the only time I have, we're working from up here. And we already know if we're working up here, that we're forcing it. And that means most likely you're going to get the wrong answer. You're putting too much pressure on yourself.
Like when you told us you just had to pull over, you had
Right.
the answer, you just had to pull over right then.
Right.
That was it.
That's right. When you know,
so
it's the
if
right
I
time.
can ask if this is the right time to test, and if I'm saying, show me yes, then I'm still doing the yes/no thing, the swaying the yes/no thing.
And that was a
depending
very
on what
important
that
point.
is.
Yes, that's a very important point. Good.
You said according to her beliefs, is that, show me a yes, that in conjunction with my belief system. It's a belief system about the stock.
A belief system about allowing herself to be correct.
Yeah, or it's the belief system about, can I really do this?
Yeah.
Or,
You need to experiment with different statements until she finds the correct statement. But
well,
it's-
for me, part of this has been just internal resistance to letting it happen, to letting it work. And one thing that has started to help, it's from a writer named Alan Cohen, is like, I accept 100% of my good 100% of the time. And if I start with that, and when I say my good, I really am, I'm picturing that light, the stream of energy going through. And just saying to myself before I start, I think it's really helping a good bit because of the just, you know, pent-up resistance and belief for however long I've been in these classes that I really can't do this. But there's something about, and I'm really stubbornly resistant to it as well, which the formula for insanity.
I have a suggestion. I don't know if it's good or not. So I wrote some statements to help me with what you're talking about. You can make them your own. This is just an example. I allow myself to remove all limitations and boundaries, whether self-imposed on me as a child or by my parents, family, or others. I allow myself to be open to all communications between myself and others, and so on and so on. Just different things that I know I resist.
Back and forth between health and money. Before it used to be upsetment, like frustration, anger, that type of thing. Now we're actually going into these areas specifically, the concepts of money and health. If I have great health, what am I going to do with it? You know, if I have all this money, then what am I going to do with it? And there are a number of questions that you need to answer beforehand to open up these opportunities. Okay? But I think that's some of the limiting factors that are going on for both. I think right now, because the time is getting late, we've gone way over. Sorry about this, but I'll make sure we keep to the schedule next week. Can we take just a minute to focus this energy like we're doing? And I believe you have got an idea of what you would want for this country. That would be appropriate for your spirit, God, and whomever else that you worship. So let's let it go through for just 60 seconds. Let it go through.